1996 in hip hop. Hey, what's good, family? You tuned in to Grown Man Bars, y'all. The best barbershop for Gen X hip-hop in the world, because they need security in the world, Craig. So if you've ever rewound a cassette tape with a pencil because your tape player was broken, you are probably in the right place.
Talk to him.
I'm your man, Chad. With me, as always, is that man, Big Absolute. B.A., what's buzzing,
What's going down, baby?
Tonight, we're going to talk about 1996 in hip-hop. That's a special year for me because I just had a lot going on in my young life in that particular year. The hip-hop that came out in 1996, the rap albums, I'll go through the list because you know I like doing lists later. How you feeling about 1996?
Let's put something into perspective. It was 18 months before we met, right? When all these albums dropped, it was 18 months before we met at the old Mountain Home.
Yeah.
At the old Mountain Home Air Force Base. But before we get into 96, just want to drop a quick.
Yeah.
Rest in peace, man. Childhood friend, my man Reggie, had a stroke. Family decided to take him off life support this week. Passed away. The man used to spend the night in my house. He had a room in my house, you know what I'm saying? Like, we go back. And as you always hear me say, you know, life be life, and it was no different for him. Just want to big up to him, man. Big up to the neighborhood. Shout out Paradise Posse. Shout out Nasty Mix Posse, man. Shout out Spencer, Oklahoma. And although this is not a hip-hop note, culture itself still lost a juggernaut. We lost D'Angelo as well. It's crazy. If this is how my life is working out, you know, they say they come in threes. I need you to put a halt on that. It's been a lot working on me this week already. So, again, man, RIP to my man, Reggie.
Yeah, that's what's up.
96 was crazy. First of all, I know we're going to mention the albums later, but let me just tease a couple things. 96 brought some of the greatest debut albums out there. And these are guys who are new artists. They were breaking away from groups. They were breaking away from factions. This is also a sophomore project from somebody who we arguably say might have had the greatest album in hip hop. And then, of course, most importantly, in 96, Tupac Shakur and Death Row Records. That was huge. The East Coast, West Coast beef really built up. Like, it was crazy in 96. What about you?
If you had the biggest story of the year, it was Tupac. He had 2 albums, and he got Bang Bang, and unfortunately passed away all in the same year. And this was the year he went from rapper to myth. And I didn't even think about the fact that he died in this year as part of being that myth. I didn't even think about the myth that he turned into after he died. I was thinking about he was turning into a larger than life figure from February to July.
Yes, sir.
His star had gotten so big. He was bigger than life, man. He was bigger than a rap artist. He was bigger than music.
Movies.
Like, it wasn't.
He was moguling. You know, the Versace thing that never really came to fruition. I mean, a lot was happening in the 18 months that I call the whirlwind pyramid of the death row version of pop.
Yeah, I mean, it's so crazy because he was becoming, man, I hate to make this comparison because of rap, but Elvis in the sense that the myth was outgrowing the man. There were actually myths about Tupac. Oh man, you know, Tupac did this at one time. I heard Tupac did this. Tupac was becoming this Candyman figure. I mean, he was so popular in that sense, or so big in that sense. That run was just insane to me because he dropped the double album, which was fairly unusual at the time.
Yes. Hadn't seen very many of those up until that point. I think 2 up until that happened.
Yeah. And we told the story, and most people know the story of what Suge said about that album. When Suge got him out and brought him on Death Row, he's like, all right, everybody, whatever you're working on right now, that's all going to Pac's project. I'm going to do the list of just some of the albums I pulled out. Whatever you got, drop them down in the comments. If I forget one, I am someone who makes mistakes. I am human. I do have emotions like everybody else.
It's not like everybody else. It is.
It is. No, it's not. It's weird. I got all kind of letters attached to my mental health. It's PC, OC, ST, PTs.
I mean, he may have some in there somewhere. Not like everybody else.
The albums that came out in 1996 that I pulled out: Eazy-E, Straight Off the Streets; Tupac, All Eyez on Me. This is in chronological order too, by the way. Fugees, The Score; Busta Rhymes, The Coming; Ghetto Boys, The Resurrection; Master P, Ice Cream Man; Cool G Rap, Rated XXX; Jay-Z, Reasonable Doubt; Nas, It Was Written; Tribe Called Quest, Beats, Rhymes, and Life; UGK, Riding Dirty; MC Light, Bad As I Wanna Be; Outkast, ATLiens; The Roots, Illadelph, Half-Life; Poor Righteous Teachers, The New World Order; Westside Connection, Bow Down; Ghostface, Ironman; Tupac, 7 Day Theory; Eminem, Infinite; Lil Kim, Hardcore; Snoop Dogg, The Doggfather; Foxy Brown, Il Nana; Mobb Deep, Hell on Earth; and Redman, Muddy Water. Before we talk about 1996, let's flip over and let BA tell us what the absolute truth is this week. BA, what you got, bro?
Argue with your mama. Let's talk about it, man. So since we're in 96, everybody understands the phrase, is Brooklyn in the house? And in 96, Brooklyn show was in the house. We got not one, but two debut albums. And let's talk about the Queens for a minute. 1996 gave us Lil Kim and Foxy Brown. Straight out the gate, flipped the game on his head. Both from Brooklyn, both bold, both beautiful, but their styles were definitely two different sides of a coin. Crush on You and Gotta Get You Home Tonight changed what Femme Fatale would later become. Kim came through with the banging bad boy energy. She was raw, she was flashy, dangerous, and of course, fly. Hardcore dropped bombs, Biggie guided that pen, and Puffy polished off the presentation. She mixed street talk with high fashion, made sex, power, money, made it an attitude, made it all an art form. Meanwhile, Fox slid in a different way. The Il Nana was her debut album on Def Jam. She was 17, but sounded grown. So seasoned, smooth, confident. She had a Nas-like flow, mafioso. Of course that makes sense, since the firm was in her corner. She had track masters producing her joint. AZ, Jay-Z all gave her a cosign, not to mention Nas himself. Foxy gave us luxury rap, female face. Her bars were boss talk, like, Rick Ross tried to be. But her bars was boss talk, delivered like slick with the blade underneath. Both albums charted platinum, they were top 10, and they reshaped how women in hip-hop came through. Kim became the Queen Bee, while Fox was known as simply Il Nana. Time moved past, their path changed a little bit. Kim hits the stage every now and then for reunions, but Fox is much, much low-key. Again, like we always say on the show, life be life, and that was no different from the both of them. Two Brooklyn girls, though, they turned 96 into a cultural shift. Different lanes, same destination. Power, respect, history. Now that's the absolute truth.
That's the absolute truth. Those ladies did lay it down in 96, man. They ran with their crews and they held their own. They had no trouble with that. They had their own crew. They knew what they were doing. That Firm album.
Underrated.
It was. They swapped Cormega for Nature. And I don't know who the general manager that pulled the trigger on that trade was.
Because Nature looked better in the photo. That's what it was. That's all it was. He looked more black mafioso in the photo. That's all it was.
That was a dope album, man. People didn't want to give it credit because of everything that was going on.
They hated that Dre went East Coast. Same thing they did with Ice Cube's first joint, because he did all of that work with P.E. They wasn't giving him no love because he went away from the West Coast to do what he needed to do.
Yeah, it's not fair, man. That beef ruined that. Like we say, beef is good until it's not. And it's not fair that beef kind of ruined stuff like that. It was dope to me that they got together to do that. They were like, yeah, let's do this. It's dope to me that at that time, they got together to do that. I appreciate artists being able to work across stuff like that. But 1996, man, it brought out All Eyez on Me, The Score, Ice Cream Man for a different reason than the other two, Reasonable Doubt, It Was Written, which, to be honest, I know a lot of people won't go with me on this one, and that's fine. I liked it better than I did Omatic. That's just me.
And we've talked about this offline. If I Rule the World makes a great argument for that, because If I Rule the World was the leader on that album and it did not disappoint, There was no letdown, really.
Street Dreams, I didn't see.
Like, it was nice.
It aged well, too. I mean, at least to us it did. I mean, to these young pups, I'm sure it didn't, but I'm sure it sounds old to them, but that's fine. It still aged well to me. Like, if I can still listen to something 20, 30 years later.
These young bucks don't understand what 20, 30 years later mean. They don't get that. It's got to be right now, fam. I got to hear it right now.
That's because they're going to be listening to Skirt, Skirt, Yeet, Yeet in 30 years.
Back that, skirt.
Tribes had beats, rhymes, and life, which I obviously like. Riding Dirty came out. MC Light, Bad as I Wanna Be.
I rocked the party. Who rocked the party?
That song came up on my playlist this week. I was in the gym looking like a fool. I didn't care.
I was riding home. I was back in the 90s. Streets Is Watching came on. I was like, oh, that you got? Does somebody know what we was talking about today?
Poor Righteous Teachers and Illadelph Half-Life. If anybody listening has never heard that album, you are doing yourself a disservice. A disservice, sir.
Since we talked, in his entire rap career, Black Thought has had quote unquote beef with one artist. You know who it was?
I do not.
Nasir Jones. They kind of bumped heads. I mean, but it was one of those he say, she say kind of situations, and Cruz and middle people kind of got, this dude is doing this dude is doing that. And that's kind of how that worked out. It worked itself out pretty quickly. I found that interesting.
Who's beefing with the Roots? Who's got problems with them?
Crazy talk.
Yeah, that is, you know you a gangster if he's like, yeah, just got done with that beef with the Roots. Like, what? You beefing with the Roots? Who beefs with the Roots?
Or on Questlove and Rozelle. Wait, what?
What is wrong with you? So let's switch up to era versus era. Get ready. While we're talking about 1996, the one thing that was so dope about all those albums that came out was the lyricism that was involved in all of them. Now, I know some folks from up north might not think that Southern rappers are all that lyrical, but in fact, they are. And you had Riding Dirty and ATLiens. We've talked about both of those albums enough that I don't really have to say anything more about them, but classic albums. All right. So why don't we look at era versus era? You know, I like to split them up 10 years apart. So Lyricism in 1996, it gets to go up against Lyricism in 2006, which is Lil Wayne, Dedication 2, T.I. King, Clips, Hell Hath No Fury, Kanye's Rise.
This might be a draw. And I'm going to point out a couple things that make it that way. I'm not comparing the albums. I'm comparing the artistry.
Hey, let me throw in Food and Liquor from Lupe, Donuts from Jay Dilla, Fishscale from Ghostface, Killer Season from Cameron, The Shining from Jay Dilla in that same year, Doctor's Advocate from Game, Murray's Revenge from Ninth Wonder, and The Format from Eyez.
For me, it's a wash. I'm only going to point out two things and why I feel like it's a wash. Kanye's Rise, for me, I've always said that Kanye's first album, if there was an album better made, or could be argued it was better made from top to bottom, College Dropout and The Score might be two of the best well-made projects in hip-hop history. So for that reason, I give them a wash. The other wash is simply a twofer, and I'm gonna cheat a little bit because I'm gonna use the series, but I'm going to reference one of the albums in the series. When you talk about who had the better pen, Reasonable Doubt, and it was written, I don't think there's ever an argument for how the pen game is, with the exception of what Lil Wayne did on Dedication in the series 2. Now, I point out 2 because 2 is where Lil Wayne caught fire and became what he became. Again, this is my opinion. But because of those 2 reasons, it's very difficult to pick a winner. Redman's style for 96 is equivalent, again, in my opinion, to what T.I. did for the South in 06. It was a representation. Redman has always been Jersey. It has never been an East Coast thing. Red was Jersey. Jersey artists sound like, outside of Naughty by Nature, really, New Jerusalem, Dirty Jers, you know what I'm saying? It was always Redman. So for me, the pen game is a wash. What about you?
It's hard for me to pick. I agree with a lot of what you said. I'm biased. I'm going to be biased anytime you ask me anything about 1996 because I just love the year so much. So I don't know that I'm the right guy to completely, or at least let you know what side I'm on. I always lean more towards, I guess, outside of Kanye in that year, of those albums that we just mentioned, there weren't many people talking about shit. Like, at a certain point, not too long after 1996, we hit this era where a lot of people just stopped talking about shit. And they moved it. At first, they moved into the braggadocio, which is fine because I love that. I didn't really have a problem with that. It moved into this more self-centered I that I can't even understand. I'm not supposed to understand that one anymore. But if I'm comparing lyricism, a lot of these guys from 1996, it was written Reasonable Doubt, The Score, Riding Dirty, Tupac. Those guys were talking about shit. Redman wasn't necessarily talking about shit, but that's not what Redman does.
Great storyteller.
He talks shit.
Great storyteller.
Yeah, he talks shit. But the other guys in there, they were talking about shit. Now, Kanye, I don't have to necessarily agree with everything he says, but I like the fact that his album, each one of those songs on that album was talking about something. He's not scared to talk about any particular topic. Now, he took that idea too far sometimes, but that's what he does. And I at least give you credit. You were that wide open on your music to say, whatever topic you want me to talk about, I will. And I felt like there was a lot more of that in the 90s. In 96, at least, the images were a lot less manicured.
Of course.
Like everybody's personas. I know a lot comes of that just with change of time and social media, but people weren't necessarily as worried about branding back then in 1996 as everybody else was, except Jay-Z, which is why when it comes to that, Jay-Z's ahead of everybody else.
I don't know during Reasonable Doubt. I think he really got on that front with In My Lifetime Volume 2. I really think he started to home in on, we have to make whole album because the goal was no longer platinum. I remember when platinum was the goal. Like gold was great, and a lot of people went gold. A lot of projects went gold.
They were happy with
that.
Right?
But I remember them in double platinum. Artists like Jay-Z started to aim for diamond. Eminem started to aim for diamond. And that Outkast, that's a different mark, especially when you're talking about 1995 purchases on $1 versus cents on a stream. I still don't understand how you get 0.4 cents on a stream. Anyway, but that's why I said I felt like it was a wash with the pen game. The influence, for exactly the reason you just said, I give the nod to 96 because there were more people actually talking about shit. So when I looked at this list, the first thing that instantly popped in my head when I looked at the 96 list and all the songs that popped in my head, ironically enough, I went to predominantly The Doctor's Advocate and Kanye's album. I went with Dreams and Jesus Walks. Two songs that I feel like could rival most anything on any of these albums in 96 that was hot. If I Rule the World, Ready or Not. I'm not saying bar for bar, but I'm just saying that nostalgia like hip hop was back. And then 09 happened.
It did.
09 happened in hip hop. Like you said, the transition from braggadocious to awkwardly self-centered, a new term, awkwardly self-centered.
Look, selling records and making money is a strong
pool. Strong pool.
It is a hard thing to let go of. Not that I ever did either one of those. So I guess the better question is, who do you think ran 96 more? You always had the big names. Big didn't have an album that year, but he was honest, there.
I think it was the South. And here's why I say the South. I can't really name it down to an artist because for most people, I'm going to take some flack from the South. Usually the South give us love, but I'm going to take a little something from King was not my favorite T.I. thing. It just wasn't for me, right?
I love the song.
Chicago had a little in 06 outside of Kanye. I think the South, because of the branches, and here's what I feel like the West Coast and the East Coast always struggle when the third coast argument happens. The third coast just got more branches. So I mean, we got the boroughs, right? We got SoCal, we got the Bay, different pockets in Cali, different pockets in New York, but New York and New Jersey aren't the same thing. New York, New Jersey, Philly, not the same thing. Even though the sounds are different, Houston, Mississippi, Memphis, the Carolinas, Miami, New Orleans, Atlanta, they all consider themselves just the South. They just consider themselves the South. So it's just a different branch. In 96, we got a lot of mixtapes. Very little dedication. Got a lot of mixtapes. And those mixtapes came out from Southern artists. We had a lot of movement out of the South. And it was very difficult to ignore. The West was starting to have its resurgence with Aftermath now really putting pressure. But 06, man, I feel like if we just narrowed it down, the wave of the South was just too strong.
1, 2. All right. I'm going to switch it up and move on to some rap news. Breaking news. VA talked about this in the beginning, but legendary R&B singer D'Angelo passed away last week at 51 after a private cancer battle. He is an R&B icon, and he has gotten tributes all across R&B and hip-hop, and he certainly deserves all of them. So R.I.P. to D'Angelo, and may that man rest in peace. In some news that I promise you I take no joy in sharing, on October the 14th, a judge tossed Drake's defamation lawsuit against UMG. U.S. District Judge Jeanette Vargas said, certified lover boy? No, I'm sorry, she didn't say that. She said Lamar's lyrics accusing Drake of being a P-word were not defamatory because they were non-actionable opinion. She said, although the accusation that the plaintiff is a P-word is certainly a serious one, the broader context of a heated rap battle with incendiary language and offensive accusations hurled by both participants would not incline the reasonable listener to believe that Not Like Us imparts verifiable facts.
Minor.
Basically, the judge said it's a song. This doesn't belong in court.
Facts. You lost twice and publicly.
I'm sorry, Drake. I took no pleasure in saying that. And after the ruling, Not Like Us has spiked again in streams. You went after him through the legal system, and they just threw that out, and he made more money off of it. Now, he probably made like $30 off of it because they were streams.
He probably had 946 billion streams for $1.13. After
he made enough money to buy a nice face lotion.
He could have bought his CD with his money he got for streams if they would have printed it in CD form.
On October 11th, the Kendrick Lamar LP did hit 2 million plus in U.S. album equivalent units.
Oh,
this is just a bad week for you, man. A bad week for you. You just got to leave alone, man. Some things you just got to let them go. I told you, man, sometimes people don't know when to take an L. And it's hard to know that. It is hard to know because your ego keeps messing with you. Your ego keeps telling you that you can get it back. Like when you're gambling, they keep saying, I can get it back on this next hand. Sometimes you can't. You can't get it back.
Where's my camera? Drake. Ving Rhames from the movie Pulp Fiction had a line for this. He said, you feel that? That's pride. Fucking pride never helps. It only hurts. You gotta learn to let that shit go.
I think he will now. I hope so. Maybe not. Keep it going. I don't care.
This track coming.
Still ain't like us. Got your lawsuit dropped. 1, 2. All right. I'm going to finish up with BA's favorite game. BA, it is time for
Book It or Cook It.
Book It or Cook It. Dre's producer's tree. Dilla, M, Focus, Hitman, etc. shape modern rap more than any other camp.
Book it, yeah. Because the Dungeon family could have a huge break in what became the next generation of the family, even though they're still doing it. And of course, the Wu also might have had a little bit of an argument. But there are a lot of track masters and Beats by the Pound. They're all just themselves, unlike that Dre tree. That Dre tree is like a Greg Popovich coaching tree.
Yeah, I was surprised when I went down the rabbit hole researching that one, man. I was like, oh, whoa. It's like looking at roster. I didn't know he played for him. Book it or cook it. 1996 is the best year in hip-hop and not 1988 or 1994.
Oh, you were serious? I'm sorry. You were finished. Will allow me to retort. Absolutely cook it. Are you crazy? 96 was good and all. That's like comparing the second Dream Team to the first Dream Team. They were great. They were good, but they weren't. Right? Every other team after that, including Kobe's run with LeBron and D-Wade, including that step, every other team was great. And for today's NBA, they are mega stars in the making, Hall of Famers, all future of. But how the 92 team was constructed, how they went through, and the sheer dominance in which they did it, argue with your mom.
Fair enough. Book it or cook it. Nas aged into the best over 40 MC. When I say over 40 MC, that does encompass everything. So that is on the whole, which I guess makes it harder.
Cook it because there's a two-way tie for one and a two-way tie for two.
Number 3 comes in at 5th.
So I'll say cook it because, again, the GOAT's still out there. The R's still out there. Thought's still out there. Face is still out there. Jay is still out there. But it is an argument. Like we say in battle rap, it's debatable. It's not a gentleman. It's debatable for sure.
Women spearheaded the most important mainstream shift of the 2020s in hip-hop.
Book it. No disrespect to any artist that came out, but the weight. I mean, we joke and we laugh, but Meg, Glorilla, even Cardi, like, look here, it was heavy. And even though Nicki dropped before all of them, it was heavy. Like, you remember a few years back, we was talking about Rhapsody's joint last year? Like, it was heavy, man.
All right, last one, book it or cook it. Ghostwriting doesn't matter if the record is a classic.
I will book it with one exception. As long as you don't argue about the pen game of lyrics with the song and you're just talking about the song standing on its own being a classic. Because I don't really care who wrote on Kanye's first album. I don't care if it was a lot, if it was a little. If it was Little Green Spaceman in the middle of the night typing and he didn't know, I don't care.
I got to give Baby Oil credit for one line that he had when he said, don't worry if I write rhymes.
Checks.
I write checks.
Facts.
I got to give you credit for that. That is how you respond to that. It never bothered me either, man. We always talk about ghostwriting. As long as you own it, it doesn't bother me.
As long as you're not of all time lyrically.
Yeah.
And you have ghostwriting.
Or as long as you...
Like Dre,
you're not...
We know Dre. We know some of the greatest producers who turn rappers. We know they got penned up.
All work's collaborative anyway. So people are helping people when you work together. I mean, it's just the way it works.
Do you think anybody cares that Eazy got penned up? I'm impressed with Ice Cube having enough in the tank to write for Eazy a full album, every verse, and still have dopeness for himself. It's crazy.
We got to write as somebody else too, which was a lot of fun. Yeah. All right, that'll do it for us. That is Grown Man Bars. If you're still here, smash that like and subscribe for me. If you're still listening on podcasts, go ahead and subscribe, like, and do all of that stuff because I really appreciate it. We will catch y'all next week. So for Grown Man Bars, I'm your boy Chad. That's my man B.A. We'll holla at you.
King Eyez.